For meeting of the Stillwater City Council, the last meeting of 2024 of the Stillwater City Council. This time I'll call the meeting to order and ask that you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up tonight, recently the City of Stillwater received an Affiliate of the Year award from Keep Oklahoma Beautiful at the 34th Annual Environmental Excellence Celebration due to both Waste Management Department and Watershed Quality Division's staffs and their day-to-day services to the organizational structure and community involvement with annual events. Annual events and day-to-day services that received statewide attention and commendations included the Convenience Collection Center, the Trash Off event, the Household Hazardous Waste Day, Street Sweeper Services, and Trash and Recycling Collections. This year was also first for some events, including the first ever Recycling Festival in conjunction with the Oklahoma State University Extension, and Stillwater hosting the Keep Oklahoma Beautiful Winter Workshop. A few fun facts. Since 2019, the Convenience Collection Center has had more than 261,000 visitors, which is a lot, given that we're a town of about 50,000. In fiscal year 2024, the Street Sweeper Service collected 5,432 cubic yards of debris and swept a total of 12,898 lane miles. And from 2020 to 2024, more than 31 tons of trash has been collected in our community. We all know that these numbers are due to the dedication and hard work of both departments, city staff, community members, and citywide partnerships. We're very grateful for everyone's commitment to increase health, safety, and environmental awareness. At this time, I'd like to invite Waste Management Director Matt Faulkner and Watershed Quality Division Specialist Chris Franks up so we can recognize their hard work, expertise, and achievements.
Department and the community that we couldn't do any of this without them, that's for sure. We definitely appreciate everybody, especially the Household Hazardous Waste event. That is something that is really a big thing. Chris will speak a little bit about that, and just the volunteers we have for that. And then the dedication with our solid waste program. We really appreciate that, the community involvement and the participation with our recycling program and our collection center. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add a thank you, and we couldn't do it without the citizens' input and dedication and participation.
Excellent. Thank you guys both for being here. Congratulations on the award. I think it's great that we had that recognition. I think those kinds of services in our city are sort of the base sort of level of things that people expect the city to do well, and it's great that we have folks who do such a great job at the little things. So we thank you. All right, item 4 is the consent docket. Councilors, questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. Consent docket's approved with a vote of 5-0. Item 7. We'll go down to item 7 next, general orders. 7A is the award of contracts by the CMAR Lippert Brothers, Inc. for Work Package 2 for the Stillwater Regional Airport Terminal and Improvement Project. I think the City Attorney is going to introduce this one for us.
Yes, I'm going to introduce the contract amendment, and then Airport Director Kelly Reed will give a brief presentation on the recommendation to award partial Phase 2 work. So as you all know, the Stillwater Regional Airport new terminal building project is underway. The city entered into a CMAR agreement in June of 2024 with Lippert Brothers as our construction manager at risk for this project. In August, City Council approved Amendment Number 1 to award bid package 1 for construction of the new terminal building. The current CMAR agreement included construction of that new terminal building, but did not include future phases of work that include the total project improvements. They're referred to as phases 2 through 4. They include access road relocation and roundabout development, North Triangle parking and lighting, and south parking and lighting. So this amendment does more than what the typical contract amendments for CMAR does. Typically, we're just making a recommendation on awarding a bid package and then converting the relevant portion of work to gross maximum price. There's a couple of other things that this amendment achieves, specifically points of clarification that were needed to clarify that Olson will serve as engineer for those future phases 2, 3, and 4. We are including a total interim gross maximum price to include all project phases. It also clarifies the CMAR construction manager fee. To clarify, it has not changed. However, there was a scrivener's error on a couple of exhibits, so we just want to clarify, clean that up with this amendment. And finally, another cleanup item just to outline bonding requirements for the construction manager at risk. And then finally, as we're used to seeing in these amendments, it approves a recommendation to award a bid package for partial phase 2 services and accepts a partial conversion of GMP for the project. And I will turn it over to Airport Director Reed.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors and mayor. So just briefly, I'll go over, as the city attorney mentioned, phase 2 is the next step of this project. What we're looking at here is the partial work package that we're looking for approval for. This is the water utilities support for phase 2. So the total for this work package is $660,445. The remainder of phase 2, or really all of phase 2, is what you see on the image here in orange. So phase 1 was the build of the terminal, which we're under construction on now, improvements to the existing terminal parking lot, and that 4-lane drop-off that you see there in front of the terminal. So that's all phase 1. Phase 2 is what's going to allow us to relocate Airport Industrial Access Road to be able to have that 4-lane drop-off and ultimately, hopefully, add more parking into those open spaces that you see in between the old road and the new road. The access road relocation also includes the roundabout you see there at the intersection of Airport Road and Wright Drive. So it's fairly straightforward. This package is just the water utilities. We are bidding the remainder of the work needed for this phase. We advertise on Wednesday, open bids later in January, and are hopeful to move forward in February or March with the remainder of phase 2. And then our recommendation is to a motion to approve award of this contract. Approve the amendment number 2, as the city attorney explained, cleans up some of what we need to be able to move forward with this phase and the 2 additional remaining phases for parking, and then approve the associated budget amendments. And our CMAR Lippert Brothers Incorporated, Shane Van Osten is here if we have any questions for him.
Thank you, Kelly. Councilors, any questions?
Kelly, is there a specific reason why this phase is kind of bifurcated this way, with the utility work happening as one part of it and then the rest happening separately?
We went out to bid for phase 2, and there was several questions in the bidding process. We didn't have the successful bid we wanted to see because there was some questions. Our design team with Olson has cleaned up the design to remove any doubt moving forward on depths and elevation and changes. So we've made a little bit of changes to the elevation of the road. We're pulling out less fill and really building over what we have instead of excavating. So we had a cost disparity that we're seeking to move forward with in the next rebidding.
So this will keep us moving in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of keeping us moving, what's the timeline?
We'll open bids on phase 2 January 22nd. We are hopeful to begin construction late February or March of this year. It's about a 10-month duration, right? Phase 2 is about 10 months to build the road and roundabout you see here, and then open the new road so we can begin construction on the 4-lane drop-off that's part of Phase 1.
And how much traffic disruption are we going to have with phase 2 going in?
Phase 2 is designed and phased so that we build the new road without interrupting traffic on the old, but we will maintain continuous access through Airport Industrial Access Road and Airport Road throughout.
Okay.
Any further questions? Is there action on the staff's recommendation?
I move approval of staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the staff's recommendation. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0. Thank you, Kelly. Very excited to see all the work out there. Item 7B is a Parks and Community Resources update on parks and public spaces from Christy Driscoll and Barbara Bliss.
Thank you, dear. Good evening. Barbara Bliss, Parks and Community Resources Director, and I'm giving a brief update tonight on what we have been doing this fall in our park system. So, as you know, we were doing surveys at our neighborhood parks, and these surveys were completed for the 5 neighborhood parks: Arrowhead, Myers, Inghamberry, and Arrington. And we also did surveys at our 2 tennis facilities, which are at Couch and at Sunset Park. We received over 400 responses, which we were very pleased with. 2 parks we had previously identified as having immediate concerns, and that was Arrowhead and Myers. Arrowhead, we had to take out the playground equipment. It was not repairable. And Myers, we had to shut that playground down because of turf concerns, the safety surface. But we did our surveys with QR codes, and we canvassed the neighborhoods and put door hangers on the neighbors' doors so they could fill out the surveys. And we took this information and came up with a design on what we think the neighbors wanted for Arrowhead Park. For that park alone, we had 87 responses. Most of those residents were not interested in replacing the old playground equipment. They wanted to see some new amenities at that park, and that's in the Westwood neighborhood, kind of behind OSU. 52% of the respondents, they wanted picnic tables and benches. 44% wanted shade structures. 36% wanted the open green space and pet-friendly areas. And some of the comments, put those in the slides, they want to see covered picnic tables and benches as well as trash bins. And some of the more new comments on what we could do with our park: a community fruit and vegetable garden, which actually is going on in a lot of parks throughout the country. Here we have a drawing, Arrowhead Park, based on what those surveys showed us. We have put in trash receptacles, mutt mitts for the dog waste. We have included a picnic shelter with tables, a grill, a frost-proof faucet, and an art swing, which kind of covers 2 areas. The art swing is the same price as a regular swing, and it's for adults, but it has art where you can bring in an artist from the area and have them design. We could do a contest, come up with whatever we want, and then the winner gets to paint that art swing. So not only is it a nice function for adults and children to sit in, but it also puts some art in the neighborhood parks, which we're trying to incorporate, as you know, a lot of art in more of our structures. Myers Park at 9th and Ridge, we had 101 responses. That neighborhood was different. They wanted to maintain that playground equipment. The 2 things they wanted was the playground equipment and to have that creek better maintained. 21% wanted picnic tables and benches. Some of the comments we received, it should remain a playground, but redo the playground equipment for younger children. And an open green space would be nice, but the best thing would be to have the creek cleaned up. So we used to have the goat squad there years ago to clean up the creek. Can't do that anymore, but we need to find some options how we can clean that creek up better. The same amenities that we have planned for Arrowhead Park, we could also incorporate into Myers Park. One of the things we're looking at is to try to keep all of our neighborhood parks somewhat uniform. So you go from neighborhood park to neighborhood park, you know that is one of our neighborhood parks. Right now, one of the things we're doing, Boomer Lake, the west side. If you've been out there walking the trail, you may have seen our restroom facilities are closed on the west side. The Centennial Rotary Club stepped up. They provided labor for painting. We are repainting those structures inside and out. And we are laying down the gauntlet. Centennial Rotary Club stepped up. We love what they've done, and we encourage any other groups, civic groups, any type of group. If they want to do something in the parks, we can find something for them to do. So they provided free labor, and they painted the inside and the outside of those bathroom facilities. Basically, we are gutting them. They will have all new amenities. The approximate cost to rehab each bathroom, around $12,000, but that includes new doors, partitions, sinks, toilets, painting, lighting. So these will be facilities that you actually want to use. We're putting down new epoxy flooring. Our staff in-house is doing that from Public Works. And it looks good. So we're very excited about what these bathrooms are going to look like when we are finished with them. We want the public to know that we have heard what they've had to say about our parks, and we're not happy with the state they're in either. So we are trying everything we can do to make everything a little bit better. Please, if you see anything going on in our parks, something that needs to be maintained, fixed, you can call it anytime, the 405-747-807 number, and report it. You don't have to wait to get online and do it. Just call. We monitor that line that goes directly to the community center, and we will have staff out there if it's during business hours to fix it immediately. We've also currently hired 2 part-time staffers who will work year-round to assist in maintaining the parks. They'll do mowing, weed eating, painting, tree trimming, and simple repairs of structures. So right now, they're working under our Public Works employees who do the majority of their work in the park. So they're being trained quite well. We also had money left over from the LED lighting contract, so we're switching out in our facilities with LED lighting, getting rid of all the obsolete bulbs at the community center, senior center, the Armory Recreation Center, and we've already done some work at Prairie Arts in the exterior of the building. If you've ever been there at night, it's kind of a dark, scary place, so it's much better now. And then we have tennis and pickleball, which is a hot topic right now in Stillwater. Both sports are currently in high demand, and we want to focus on how we can meet the public's demands. We currently partner with the Stillwater Tennis Association, who do some marvelous things at the courts. They not only do their leagues, but they put on some fall youth clinics and camps, which is very nice. We will continue with these public-private partnerships because they've become an integral part of what we do. We cannot, within the Parks Department, do everything that the citizens want us to do without this additional help. So the Tennis Association, SASA, Prairie Arts, Lake McMurtry, we will continue to partner with whomever we can to provide the type of programming that the city wants to see. I am now going to turn this over to Christy Driscoll, Assistant City Manager, my boss, and all around good egg.
I should end there. Good evening. So parks evoke motions and memories. I used to play Little League there. My dad played ball growing up. I used to walk there when I was little. We want to ensure that we have appropriate park spaces for our next generation of memories too. The amount of parks and public spaces we operate requires us to be intentional with staff, funding, and amenities offered. As we've previously mentioned, there are over 817 acres of parks in Stillwater. This equates to nearly 17 acres per 1,000 residents, while the national average is 9.9. This does not include Lake McMurtry, Lakeside Golf, OSU's campus or Botanic Garden, or the walking trail at Meridian, all of which are also open to our public. We continue to work with Vice Mayor Jalowski and Councilor Clark, and we will continue to bring the conversation forward to the full council because we know that council is vested with us, and we also know that we want our community aware of and part of the conversation. As Barb mentioned, to date, we have over 400 responses obtained through our Survey a Park program. We're extremely grateful for the high community response of these surveys and continue to develop ways for citizen participation by making their involvement easier and by meeting them where they are. At this point in the process, our surveys have provided us the largest opportunity for a high number of residents to hear and participate in this conversation. And we aren't shying away from the conversations, we are embracing them. We will continue to openly discuss thoughts and possible plans. This ensures that we hear valuable feedback during the decision-making process and not once a decision has already been made. We know that we will hear criticism, concerns, and opinions, and we do want that. When making decisions for the community, we realize that people will be impacted differently. One person's more convenient park location may be another person's concern. Through this type of conversation, we can ensure that more options are considered and we can view the situation from a larger number of perspectives. The community will hear staff asking questions about tennis courts. More on that in just a minute. Pickleball courts, we hear you, Stillwater. We want pickleball courts. Traditional parks and play structures, green spaces, dog parks, and of course the need for a community pool. And if we aren't asking a question that you want to answer, then please reach out directly and share your thoughts. You'll hear us talking about Lake McMurtry Friends, SASA, and other community partners for recreation programs, for entertainment at Block 34, and for community partnerships for that pool. We embrace the philosophy that more can be done for the community when the community works together. We are currently in conversations with the YMCA about how we can achieve that community pool. YMCAs across the country partner with cities and schools because more can be done together than individually. We plan to come back to council soon with a conversation about a general obligation bond to fund an outdoor community pool, which would be managed by the pool experts, the YMCA. This allows our residents to be the largest part of the conversation of a pool through a vote. You'll hear conversations about consolidation, acquisition, and liquidation. These items will come to council for consideration and possible action, but we want the information to be out and available well before that time when possible. We believe it's best for staff, council, and the community to all be partners in the conversation. And I wanted to take a moment to address why acquisition and disposal. Acquisition looks like rails to trails conversion to ensure community and space connectivity. The operation of Block 34 to create a space filled with music, events, a place where we can come together. The conversion of land to create better utilization of space. For example, the possibility of a dog park at Sanborn Park near the proposed animal welfare facility. Disposal of property because in some cases consolidation makes the best sense for the community. I'll take a minute to expand on that example with the current conversation around the tennis courts at Sunset Park. Sunset Park has challenges. limited parking, location which makes lighting potentially a concern, a lack of accessibility, and the need for a large amount of maintenance to restore the courts to proper condition. One option currently being considered and discussed is to build a new tennis facility located at Southern Woods. This allows us to expand the use of Southern Woods, allows better parking, accessibility, access to restrooms on site, and offers other amenities for those who may accompany tennis players on their trips to the courts. Courts that would be only 4 blocks from the current location. Then we have the opportunity to come back to council to discuss the potential sale of Sunset Park. If approved, funds from the sale could be allocated for a master vision plan for the entire park system, additional courts with a location suitable for tournaments, leagues, and more space for open play, and also allows us to build pickleball courts for this community. The Stillwater Tennis Association provided us a statement outlining the need for a location with 6 to 8 courts and shared the benefits that would bring to the community, the school program, and the association. They advised of the need for pickleball courts and centrally located courts for recreation players. I spoke with Henri, the president of the association, and he fully supports this plan and this conversation. I appreciate his perspective and his attendance tonight here in support. We will continue the conversation with all vested partners for solutions that work best for this community. We are having a meeting on January 9th at the Community Center, another one of our public spaces. The meeting is intended to be an open house. We'll have partnership table where we hope to meet with HOAs, community groups, and others interested in helping in the park system betterment. Have staff available for conversations and community wish boards with educational material set up. We hope to see our partners and community members there. We are grateful to have a council and leadership that is committed to improving our park system. Our path forward requires hard work, funding allocation, which is helped by dedicated funds available through the data center project, continued citizen input, hard decisions by staff and council to ensure that our parks and public spaces in Stillwater allow for the making of future memories. Barb and I are happy to answer any questions.
Councilors, any questions?
Well, before you leave, let me emphasize something you said, and that is if we get to the point where we are talking about disposing of any tennis courts, we would first have built replacement courts so we have someplace to go play before we get rid of what we have. That's
the best path forward.
That's the conversation we're having right now.
I had a question about Myers Park, because I know you got a lot of survey responses, but I actually have a coworker in my day job with 2 small boys who lives close to Myers Park, and he's very interested as to when they might see a new playground available at Myers Park. Do we have any kind of timeline on that project?
We have some funding that we will have to identify. So we plan to come back. As you saw, the Arrowhead Park was a cost estimate there. That would require a funding move from one line item to another that would take in. And then Myers Park would be next up on that list of identifying the total cost and then come back for funding. So he's in queue, just maybe not as quickly as we work through a lot of our challenges.
Do we have any funding for Myers at this point, or are we going to have to identify a new source?
We will
identify a new source.
And when we do Myers Park, we're looking at not just replacing the turf, but new equipment, possibly locating it closer to 10th Street, where there's better parking. You're not by the sanitary lift station. We just think there might be a better location for it there also. So.
Well, I do think, I mean, as you noted in the surveys, that one is one that people do want to see that playground equipment back up and running. And like I said, I've fairly personal contact with someone on a regular basis who really would like to see that happen. So certainly appreciate the work that you guys are doing
Yes,
there.
when I was handing out the surveys, a lot of people came out and spoke with me in person.
Yeah,
so they love their park there.
Yes.
I think what people maybe don't realize that when we were working on Strickland Park, the sticker shock of playground equipment is real. extremely expensive to replace something as simple as a swing we had. I know as we were working on that park, we had people in the community that would say, "Oh, I would love to donate a swing," and I would say that will be $15,000. So it's quite expensive. It's not an easy lift, especially when we haven't had these dedicated resources as a community in our parks department for so long. I just also want to add that I'm so grateful to both of you for the work and effort and attention that you're giving our community with this. It is a difficult conversation, and I'm certain that it's sometimes hard to engage when folks have these beloved spaces and also aren't always pleased with where we are currently. But I can see the progress that we're making in this conversation, and I'm very proud of the work that you're doing.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I love the idea of the possibility of tennis courts at Southern Woods with the talk of the YMCA and the Washington School and that sort of being a health corridor. That makes total sense that we could have some tennis courts over there. And it makes it still walkable to the people that go to Sunset Park right now. And I know I've had several people reach out to me and comment about that location and the walkability, and it's just different than having to drive out to Couch Park. And so I like this conversation and where that's going.
And of course, if we had a business or individuals who wanted to invest in recreational facilities, we would love to talk to you about Myers Park and other facilities as well.
We would. Email me.
One thing, go ahead. One thing you mentioned was community gardens or community orchards. Christy and I have had this conversation already. That Kansas City, and I don't know if it's Missouri or Kansas, has 140 plus small parks scattered throughout the city where they planted city orchards, and they have the local neighbors take care of it. I think that's an awesome idea. If we could mobilize some neighborhood people that want to keep their park, help us put some work into it. I think that's a great idea.
January 9th at the community center.
Well, I'm sort of add on to that. I mean, really huge thanks to the Centennial Rotary Club for the work that they've done out at the lake. That was one of the issues that came up in our last discussion session, was that there were folks in town saying, "Hey, we'd like to volunteer. We're interested." I love to hear that we're getting those folks, and I know we have before. But just to reiterate, to the folks who do have a passion for helping, with outdoor recreation, with these spaces, we have lots of opportunity for those folks to kind of get involved in lots of different ways. So thanks for making that possible.
We're actually compiling a list currently of all the things, so that if a group came to us and said, "We have this skill set," we can immediately go, "We have this wish." And so that way there's not a delay, and we can have that immediate connection. So we'll have that available for January 9th.
Excellent.
Well, it's something I don't know exactly how they do it, but you drive through a lot of small towns, and you'll see a Rotary Park or a Kiwanis Park or a Lions Park.
I know how they do it.
Sorry?
I know how they do it. They donate money.
Yes.
We too are interested in donated money.
money or labor, one of the two.
Right.
Or both. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much. Item 7C is an update on the proposed general obligation bond proposal to fund a new animal welfare facility. Don Dodson.
My time hasn't started yet.
Mayor's looking at his watch.
Hey, I have a timer in the audience.
She was told 5 minutes. And
Yes.
she asked, is that with Q&A or without Q&A?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In 2021, animal welfare was identified as a time initiative, along with transportation, roadways, and Fire Station 2. The city brought the transportation sales tax and Fire Station 2 before voters in 2022. Both propositions passed by large margins, reflecting that our community is ready and willing to invest in Stillwater's future. Animal welfare has remained as a priority for staff, council, and our Community Action Committee with continued planning, assessments, and discussions. We continue working with stakeholders, financial advisors, architects, outside engineers, local organizations, and others to determine current and future needs, location, cost, and funding options. Since bringing preliminary designs in December 2022, additional updates in 2023, and performing a complete project overhaul throughout 2024. In January 2025, staff will bring a proposal for council's consideration. Funding for the project potentially includes a proposition for the April 1, 2025 election. Please know the finance piece is still being developed as we work with Barrett L. Williamson, BLW Architects, and Animal Arts on the cost estimate. Assistant City Manager Cluck will work with our bond and financial advisors to determine funding amount options, and she will present that in January. As you know, in 2024, we reassessed the facility location and determined near the airport was optimal. Director of Engineering Candy Starring and team did an excellent job with that thorough site assessment, and that presentation and information are available on our website at stillwaterok.gov/time. During that time, we met with community members, our Community Action Committee, and neighborhoods located near the proposed site location. We worked with Stillwater Regional Airport Director Kelly Reed and have now received all FAA approvals to develop an animal welfare at this location. This is one of the renderings provided by BLW and Animal Arts. It is a site map. This shows the entrance off Airport Road, the pathway to the adoption and surrender entrances, and the floor plan with an increase in kennels and catteries, sterilization areas, and community areas. Please know the reason the facility is positioned on the property in this manner is to help with temperature control in catteries and kennels with the needed windows, facility location with sunrise and sunset, etc. David Barth asked that I include that because the location is irritating to him. We are 100% teamwork on this project, guys, I'm telling you. Let's look at additional renderings provided. This shows the floor plan with increased kennels and catteries. I want you to know this is 100% a 20,000, maybe 10,000 foot look in the sky. This is just a touch point. We're going to be in the weeds January 13th, but we wanted to show you that floor plan that we have spent hours working on needs assessment. So this is that initial floor plan right there. A little bit prettier. This is the front main entrance for adoptions, volunteer, education, and community spaces. We want to remind everyone that renderings are based on needs assessment of our community today and 20 plus years from now. We also included areas to build upon if funds and resources are available later. This could be additions to the facility, park spaces, as Assistant City Manager Driscoll included earlier, and walking trails with nearby Sanborn Lake. This rendering reflects the back entrance that will be utilized by staff with an enclosed safety entrance and a private surrender area. Please note what is not reflected in the renderings are the improved and healthier HVAC system and professional cleaning systems. A few final notes. This facility does include outdoor and indoor spaces for the animals and has been developed based on needs assessment. However, again, we are in the funding phase of the project now and may have to cut some areas to reach a healthy number for a bond, one that council and staff would feel is reasonable for our voting community to consider. We are looking at a potential bond election on April 1, 2025, and have been working on the project with the statutory election dates and deadlines in mind. Staff will continue meeting and planning with our Community Action Committee, stakeholders, community members, Humane Society, and others to navigate through this project in preparation for an April election and to ensure that all voters have the information needed to decide what is best for them and their family. We look forward to coming back in January with a detailed presentation from our architects, engineers, financial advisors, animal welfare leadership. Our team has worked meticulously on this project, knowing that animal welfare has been at the forefront of council and staff's priority list so that we can meet the needs of our community. I know that's a generalization, but we definitely wanted our community to know we are still working on this and it's still a priority and not to be caught off guard, council or our community, when we come back in January. At this time, does council have any questions or guidance of our staff that you would like to see in January when we come back?
Counselors, other than telling her that was over 5 minutes.
Where am I on time? 35 seconds over?
Pretty good, though.
Thank you.
Close.
Dawn, I would just ask
ma'am.
that when you come back in January, I know this has been a continued conversation and you all have been working so very hard on the forward vision for the animal welfare facility in our community. I think it has been long enough in our community that we probably need to be reminded what our current conditions are at the current facility, just to refresh council and our communities just the picture of where we are right now and why we have this need, not only for just the kind of humane pieces for animals, but also for the professional staff that work in that facility.
Perfect. Thank you.
I assume that the changes to the road going by the airport has all been taken into account in terms of where the location will be.
Yes, that is part of another project. Candy, do you want to speak to that? She's eager. Look at that.
Sorry,
face.
Candy.
We have. Okay. Yes, we have a KMZ file in Google Earth that lays it out where it's going to go, and we've accounted for all of that.
Okay,
thank you.
Great. I assumed we had.
Yeah, that is actually in this, but we zoomed in a little close so you could kind of see how that sits on the property.
And as we were, go ahead.
Well, just to clarify, I mean, the changes to the road at that area would be not part of the airport project. That would be part of an ODOT.
Yes, that's
Okay.
Yeah, phase 2.
I was just making sure for my own. I'm like, that's pretty far from the airport. That's not going to be.
Okay. I just couldn't tell for sure from the airport rendering how far over that project went.
Probably about 350 feet east of where you see this drive is where the T intersection is to shoot off to the old airport, the way you would go to the old airport, and then it continues on the new route, kind of across the Sanborn Lake tip and curves around to airport.
Okay. Thank you.
And when that new bypass that ODOT, the project the mayor was referring to, when that new project that ODOT and the city are partnering on is completed, it will be a much easier bypass. I think people from the intersection of Airport and Washington will use that road to head towards the west side of Stillwater, and so that's great for the traffic counts and the utilization of the new animal welfare facility.
And one other question that I've actually been asked about, as we were talking about if people had money that they wanted to give for parks, if people wanted to make a donation to the animal welfare, do we have any means to do that?
Yes, we'll just connect them with Assistant City Manager Cluck, and she'll be happy to take that check.
Take money. All right. Perfect.
In accordance with the law.
Of course. We wouldn't make it out to her personally.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, item 8 is resolutions. 8A is resolution CC-2024-38, a resolution adopting a social media policy for general administration of official social media sites and adopting a social media policy for employees of the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma and related entities. City Attorney Carnley?
So the City of Stillwater utilizes official social media sites such as Facebook and X. The city recognizes the value of social media to discuss matters of public interest and to keep citizens and visitors updated on information and events happening throughout the city. The city encourages public dialogue and proposes adoption of social media policies as a best practice to maintain a professional and user-friendly online environment. Approval of this resolution will adopt a social media policy for general administration, which establishes administrative regulations and expectations for users. That policy will be readily available for users on all of the city's official platforms and on the city's website. The resolution also approves a social media policy for employees. State law requires that cities that use social media adopt a policy for employees that may post for work purposes to discourage abusive or offensive online behavior. So the employee policy establishes general guidelines for employees using social media that promotes professionalism and compliance with personnel policies. The policies are included in the packet. There are 2 minor changes on the policy for general administration. The email address for the communications director has been replaced with a generic account, news@stillwater.org. That's to ensure that it's monitored and remains the good point of contact if you do need to contact regarding your social media use. And also the employee policy, there were some references to Twitter, and those have been deleted and replaced just with X. I am told that's how it should be. And with that, I would recommend approval of the resolution to adopt those social media policies for the City of Stillwater.
Councilors, questions or comments? Or action on the resolution?
I move adoption of Resolution CC 2024-38.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that resolution is adopted. Item 9, ordinances. On first read, we have Ordinance 3551, an ordinance rezoning tracts of land located at 1324 East 6th Avenue from commercial general to commercial shopping, planned unit development. This is an item from our last meeting. Councilors.
Motion to adopt ordinance, or advance ordinance number 3551.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance the ordinance. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance 3551 is advanced to second reading. Item 10 is appointments. We have an open seat on the Implementation Policy Committee for the downtown reinvestment area. Downtown TIF. I'm not looking at the right spot.
TIF 3.
Downtown program. Am I looking at the right thing? There it is. Okay. The Downtown Reinvestment Implementation Policy Committee. That's the words I was looking for. I would like to recommend Charles Johnson for that seat on the TIF committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Johnson to the Downtown Reinvestment Implementation Policy Committee. Please vote. That's approved with a vote of 5-0. I certainly appreciate his willingness to serve on that very important board in our community. Reports from officers on the board. Ms. Carnley?
Nothing to report.
I will ask Mr. Moore for his comments to report, and I will, I guess, maybe just make a formal notice of Mr. Moore's first official meeting as the city manager here at the City of Stillwater. We appreciate your willingness to serve in this role and look forward to continuing to work with you as the city manager.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. I feel very honored to be trusted with this role. It's something I will serve with great honor, and so thank you again for your trust. All right, so thank you.
It's sort of impromptu there. Sorry, I didn't.
No, that's all right. No, I appreciate it. Okay. My talking point is, as was mentioned earlier, on January 9th, we are having a open house to talk about our parks and community resources. This is a community meeting with staff eager to hear your ideas, suggestions, and concerns regarding our parks, community spaces, and public facilities. At the open house, there will be sign-ups for volunteer opportunities and educational information available. Some preliminary information collected from recent surveys will also be shared again. We want to ensure our parks and public spaces meet the needs of our residents and families. Please join us on Thursday, January 9th, beginning at 5:30. Again, this is kind of a come-and-go open house at the Stillwater Community Center at the Lowry Activity Center. For more information, go to stillwaterok.gov/parks.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor.
This holiday season, the Stillwater Animal Welfare reminds those who are considering adding a furry friend to their family to adopt, not shop. If you would like to see what dogs and cats are in need of a good home, please stop by the Animal Welfare Building at 1710 South Main Street or follow Stillwater Animal Welfare on Facebook. The staff members post regular updates on Facebook about the available animals, educational tips, and animal health guidance.
Thank you so much. Councilor Hawkins, before you go, I would also like to offer my congratulations as you were, what I would say, unanimously reelected to the City Council seat as no one else signed up. But congratulations on another term here. We appreciate your willingness to continue to serve.
The city is accepting applications for various committees, including the Audit Committee and the Board of Adjustments. Committees are essential for increased development and infrastructure projects within our community. If you would like to get involved in your local government and help make Stillwater even greater, please consider serving on one or more of these committees. For more information or to apply, go to stillwaterok.gov/citizen boards. And I would just say it is so important for us to have people that are willing to serve on these boards, and I'm always so appreciative of all the people that step up and are willing to be on these boards.
Absolutely. Thank you. Councilor Clark.
City offices will be closed Wednesday, December 25 for Christmas and Wednesday, January 1 for New Year's Day. The waste management calendar is adjusted for the holidays. The weeks of Christmas and New Year's, if your normal pickup day is Wednesday or later, trash, recycling, and yard waste pickup will be delayed a day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday pickups will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Also, for residents who have a live Christmas tree during the holiday season, after the holiday, you may bundle up your tree and place it on the curb as part of the city's regular yard waste collection free of charge. All decorations must be removed, and bundles must be less than 4 feet long and 18 inches across and less than 50 pounds. For more information and the collection schedule, go to stillwaterok.gov/waste management or call Waste Management at 405-742-8269. I'd also like to mention that this weekend, the Our Holiday Heroes event was terrific. The drone show was wonderful, and if you missed it, you missed out because it was really good.
I'll just point out that the collection schedule for the whole year of 2025 was in the 14th, yesterday's News Press?
The weekend edition.
The weekend edition
Yes.
of the News Press. So if you missed that, go get a News Press, and you can get the whole year schedule. I'm sure that's on our website somewhere as well.
It's available at stillwaterok.gov/waste management.
This is actually going to go on the refrigerator in my garage right next to my recycle bin, so I don't miss that again because I have missed it before. Thank you. Councilor Harden.
It is that time of year again to purchase a rural fire service contract. This applies if you live outside the city limits, but within the Stillwater Fire Department's response area. For an annual fee of $200, the contract ensures that response fees for each fire incident on a contracted property will not exceed $2,000. Residents will still receive rural fire assistance without a contract, but will be responsible for paying the full rural fire service fee for any services rendered. All collected fees go toward training, rescue tools, and other fire equipment. To sign up or for more information, go to stillwaterok.gov/ruralfire or call 405-742-8308.
Thanks, sir. I will let you know that Thursday this week, December 19th, from 5:30 to 7, Stillwater Regional Airport will host SUA for the holidays. This is a free, fun family event with cookies, cocoa, and photos with Santa. Also, there will be opportunities to win American Airlines gift cards by entering the Fly Home for the Holidays contest with Visit Stillwater. There will be 5 $100 gift cards awarded on December 19th at the SWO holiday event. So you need to be there and win a gift card. For information on how to enter to win gift certificates, go to visitstillwater.org. We hope that you can join us on the 19th and always choose Stillwater Regional Airport for your traveling needs. I think that takes us to the end of this agenda. Questions, councilors, or is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.
Do we have a motion and a second to adjourn City Council? Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater City Council is now adjourned. At this time, I will call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for December 16th, 2024. Trustees, questions, comments, or action on the consent docket?
Motion to approve consent docket.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Takes us to general orders. 5A is to award a bid to Crossland Heavy Construction for the. There's a lot of words there. I'm just going to let Chris tell us about it. I just got,
the last meeting of the year.
It's a lot of numbers, and
I got
you're coming up anyway.
I got you covered, Mayor. We're good.
Tell us about this bid.
All right. Good evening, trustees. I'm here tonight to present the bid results for the water treatment plant chemical construction project. That's
what I meant to say.
I know, yeah. So the two pictures you see here are some of the facilities out the water treatment plant that are going to be touched by this project. Some of these projects were installed all the way back when the plant was built in 1985 and put in service then. And on the left here is part of the CO2 system, which is going to be touched by this project, and on the right is part of the lime system. And although these facilities have safely moved over almost 100 billion gallons of safe drinking water in the past 39 years, as you can see, they're looking a little tired. So because these facilities age, the required frequent maintenance parts have become difficult to obtain, and in some instances are actually impossible to get parts for them. And in addition, these chemical facilities cannot meet the projected future demand of the city of Stillwater and the surrounding areas as well. So the scope of this project consists of the items highlighted in yellow in the picture on the right there. So as part of this project, we're going to replace the lime system. We're going to make improvements to the chlorine and ozone systems. We're also going to replace the CO2 feed system. Then we're also going to install a sodium hydroxide for water stability, as well as install a sodium hexametaphosphate system for corrosion inhibition. And then some of these facilities will reside in a brand new chemical building that you see at the top of the page there, which will be the second chemical building we have out there. And it's going to be paid for by a $5 million grant that we received. All of these facilities will help us prepare us to move 24 MGD in the future and make the plant safer and more efficient to operate. So we received competitive bids from Walters Morgan and Crossland Heavy Construction. As it turns out, Crossland Heavy Construction is already out there doing a similar size project, a $30 million project out there for a finished water pump station and recovered water pump station. So we were very pleased that they were the low bidder for this project. The bids were very tight. They differed by less than 2%, and both were within about 4% of the engineer's estimate. So we felt like we got very good quality bids for the project. So the total expenditures for this project are $28 million, and they break down as follows. So it's about $24.9 million, almost $25 million for the Crossland construction bid. Then $463,000 for a professional services agreement with East Breeze Consulting. This company is already out there today doing inspection services for the finished water pump station. They've done a great job. They've been part of the city's success of projects for the past 10 years. So we were pleased that they were able to take on this project as well. And then another $35,000 for inspection services and testing, and then about $2.5 million for contingency. And then the way we're going to fund this project will be $17.8 million from a DWSRF Loan 5, and then $5 million grant that I just spoke about for the chemical building that's EPA congressional directive, and then about $5.1 million from the water fund. And so with that, I will open it up for questions.
I do have one question. Talk to me about the testing part of it. What type of testing are they doing during construction?
So you have two types of testing. So the $35,000 will cover, like, when we pour a concrete foundation, you want to know it has the right compressive strength. If we do welding, you want to know are you getting good quality welds. If there's compaction, you want to know that you got really good compaction. And so that's what those are for. And then for the bigger part, it's quality control. So we have there's quality assurance that the contractor is responsible for, but we're responsible for quality control. And so he's out there making sure that things are built the way they're supposed to be built, that we're getting our money's worth of the $28 million contract. And so there's a lot of pieces out there, a lot of moving pieces, and we want to make sure everything works as it's supposed to. He's a part of, when we have a testing plan, so we're going to have to build this facility that's supposed to do 24 million MGD in the future. Well, how do you develop a plan that will really test it and make sure that everything can function that way? Well, he kind of gets into the weeds of those testing plans and make sure we're really going to get our money's worth for the project.
Thank you.
And could you also just real quickly, the DWSRF loan, drinking water state revolving fund, I had to Google that. Would you talk a little bit about that loan program? I assume it's a low interest type loan program.
It is. It's a $37 million loan. So the two big things that it's paying for is the finished water pump station, the recovered water pump station. That's the first half of it. This project will spend the rest of the balance of it. But as part of a normal course of business, we apply for those loans just to pay for facilities. We'll apply for another one next year, like the Lake McMurtry project. If we don't, if we need other, we're playing for trying to get a different grant. But if we can't, then there's other ways to get money for that.
And the congressionally directed spending is from a couple sessions ago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Shelley applied for that. It's EPA. It's got a long name. It's it's a congressional directive spending.
Well, that's a big number for a federal grant, and huge thanks to Shelley and I think our congressional reps that Congressman Lucas that has a role in playing. Plays a role in making sure we get that money. So that's a big deal to be able to get that kind of funding
That'll be good.
from the EPA.
Yep.
If I may, I'd like to just brag on the team because they're actually all in the room. But in 2019, before I was here, 2020, there was kind of a big crossroads about what we're going to do with our water treatment plant and our water system. And I'm really proud of this team for the way they've been pushing go for the last 2 years, getting these big projects started. How do you make big changes incrementally? And they've been knocking out, even though a $25 million project doesn't sound like an increment change, it is. And this is the second big project to get implemented at water treatment plant, all while they're pushing the gas pedal down on the Lake McMurtry water storage project. So I'm really proud of this team. They're getting a lot of work done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, and there's, just to kind of add to that, the SCADA master plan you all approved several months ago, that's all even part of this project as well. So we're all done. It's going to be a first-class facility out there that'll operate efficiently. We'll have KPIs that show that we're continuing getting better, and then the last little piece that'll have to get done at some point in the future is the filter basin. So that'll be after that.
That's great. Trustees, further questions? Did you give us a recommendation yet, Chris?
I can do that now.
Please.
So staff recommends a motion to award a unit price contract to Crossland Heavy Constructions Incorporated for the base bid price of $24,968,000 and authorize the general manager to sign the related documents. Approve a contract for professional services with East Breeze Consulting LLC for inspection services and appropriation of funds in the amount of $463,419 and authorize the general manager to sign related documents. Authorize total construction expenditures of $28,013,060 for construction, East Breeze Consulting, inspection services, project testing, and contingency. And lastly, approve a budget amendments appropriating the funds.
Thank you, Chris. Trustees?
Motion to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, that is approved. Any reports from the officers of the board? Is there a motion to adjourn SUA?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SUA. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater Utilities Authority is now adjourned. And at this time, I will call to order the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting for December 16th, 2024. Trustees, action on the consent docket.
Motion to approve consent docket.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. Under general orders, we have item A, consider the application of Modella Art Gallery for small business enhancement assistance in the amount of $2,640 for improvements to include new exterior paint and an art mural at 721 South Main Street. Mr. Moore.
Yes, excited to have another small business enhancement application before you this evening. This is for a project, as you just mentioned, at Modella Art Gallery downtown. We all know and love. They are working on a new exterior project on the front of their building, and Valerie's here to talk about it. The total project cost, as detailed in the application, was $5,280, and so the amount of assistance will be, of course, the 50% of that is the terms of the the terms of the program. So $2,640, and so I'll invite Valerie to tell you all a little more about the project.
Thank you all very much for the opportunity. I heard a lot of comments about grants and funding that you all receive. And so you know how important that is. And we are a nonprofit, 501c3. And this grant will help us enhance. We received some funding for the LED neon sign, and we wanted to enhance that and improve the front of the gallery for the community, make more beautiful exposure. And we are utilizing the funding for a mural that will go above where the sign is. It will enhance the sign a little bit better. And then we're going to do some enhancement in the porch area as well. Any questions?
The sign looks great.
It does.
Thank
It
you.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so
Okay,
much for being
thank
here.
you.
Appreciate it. Trustees, any further questions? Is there a motion on the item?
I move approval of staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. It's approved with a vote of 5-0, and super excited to see those new improvements on Main Street. Thanks so much. Any reports from the officers or the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn SEDA. Please vote. The vote of 5-0, the Stillwater Economic Development Authority is now adjourned, and that concludes our meetings for the evening.